What's going on, everybody? Can I get a sound check? Spam the chat with your favorite emoji or anything that you really like. And let me know if you can hear me okay. All right. This is awesome. So, forgive me if I don't sound as energetic as I usually am when I go live, but as you saw in the title, this is going to be the stream right before my surgery. If you've been keeping up with the latest streams that I've had, like when Demetrius was here and even my previous APA review video, I talked about how I am going to be having ankle surgery. My right ankle has gotten to a point to where the cartilage between the leg bone and the ankle is very little, almost next to none. And what basically ends up happening is, like, right now I can walk just fine. But if I'm on my feet for too long of a time, then my right ankle starts to get a little uncomfortable to walk on, and I'll start limping around a little bit, and to where I have to sit down or lay down for a very long time until the inflammation goes down, and then I'm able to walk again or walk comfortably again. And when I had got checked out by the doctor about this, it was pretty much the only suggestion was to have surgery done on it because it's just going to get worse over time. And the surgery is tomorrow morning, to be exact. I have to be at the hospital at 5:30 in the morning. So I wanted to definitely go live and let everybody know, what's going on if you haven't watched any of the previous live streams. And so I'm clearly hoping everything's gonna be okay. I think the only thing that I'm just really worried about once the procedure is done is going through the healing process. It's estimated that it's going to take 3 months for me to totally heal from the surgery, because I'll spend the first 2 weeks in a splint in order to allow the swelling from the surgery to go down. Once the swelling goes down, then I'll be spending the next 4 weeks in a cast. And then after that, I'll spend the next, I think it's the next 6 weeks after that, I'll be in a boot. And by that time, I should be able to start putting weight on it again, and being able to walk little at a time, hopefully to the point to where eventually everything just returns back to normal. The only thing that won't be completely normal is that my normal stride is just going to have a little hitch in it, because as the doctor explains to me, I will still have lateral rotation of my ankle, so I can move my foot from side to side. But when it comes to walking, if you know how you do the heel toe approach, well, I can't really press on the ball of my foot as much because there's not enough of a hinge at that point. So the right foot is going to feel a little different when it comes to walking. I just don't know how much of a difference or how much of an effect it's going to have on my walk. There are like special shoes out there that I'm going to have to start wearing, to where when I wear these shoes, it'll appear like there's nothing, like I never had surgery, because the shoe is designed to cause my foot to just naturally roll like it's supposed to. And then when I'm not wearing the shoes, that's where you might notice a little hitch in my walk. So yeah, the only thing that I guess that I would say is stressing me out about the whole thing is just dealing with the 3 months of healing. I have decided that I'm not really going to be going anywhere. I'm pretty much going to hermit myself and just stay home. I don't want to really risk being out in public to where I can accidentally bump into something or have something accidentally bump into me. Because I just want to make sure that I give my ankle the best possibility at healing correctly. So in that meantime, I can still, like, once I get past the pain management portion of after the surgery is done, then I can still do like live streams like what I'm going to do tonight, to where I still have a couple of matches that I can review, and then just keep on going from there. I had mentioned before that I'm going to be going through some of my older live streams and clip out probably like some of my old previous matches, and clip out some of the I'm not going to clip all of them. I'll just clip some of the matches out and post them as separate videos. I started looking at some of my old live streams where I was doing some training sessions with Demetrius. And I thought maybe some of the segments that are in there I can clip out for their own individual videos. So I'll still be able to produce some content while I'm healing during those 3 months. And then the best news of it all is once I'm done healing, because here we are in September, 3 months later would be October, November, December. So I should be all healed up, hopefully before the turn of the calendar year. But hopefully somewhere around that time frame as well, around the turn of the calendar year, I'm going to have my new 9-foot table in my home. So that way I can really start to produce some content again. And that'll be at least what I'm going to be preparing myself for, like what I have to look forward to on top of being able to walk throughout the day and feel no discomfort. That of course is going to be the ultimate goal. So yeah, what is it? It's currently 9:12 p.m. Central Standard Time here in Texas. So I have, what is that? About 8 hours until my procedure. So yeah, I definitely wanted to be able to go live here. Review some APA 8-ball, 9-ball double Jeopardy match, as I've done in the past, and chit chat with everyone as well, and let's just see where everything goes. Definitely want to give shout outs to anybody that's watching on Facebook. So Deanna, thank you so much for being here, and anybody else that's on Facebook. Always definitely got to give a shout out to my buddy Tony Robles. Thank you so much, man. This will be definitely something to where after I'm done healing, Tony, I can hopefully maybe in 2025 maybe schedule a trip down to Florida and come see you in your pool room and stuff, and we can either hang out, film some content, or do whatever. That'll definitely be a thing. Craig, you want to know if I got a bell so that way Carly can help me whenever I need? I haven't downloaded it on my phone yet, but I am cautioned not to download the Bell app onto my phone. But yeah, 3 months of playing video games? That actually doesn't sound bad at all. Probably catch up on some shows and stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. Nate, thank you so much for being here, brother. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, like I have to apologize. Like I said, I wish I could just be as energetic as I normally am, but I can say that I'm getting nervous with this coming up. I've had surgery procedures done on me in the past, but nothing like this to where I know it can be life altering. It's in this case, it's the life altering is going to be hopefully very, very minor, because like I said, whatever little hitch that I'm going to have in my walk is hopefully not noticeable at all. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'll definitely keep everybody apprised of how I'm doing and whatnot, and we'll just have to go from there. Okay, before I continue on, if you haven't done so already, please give the stream a thumbs up, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. It really doesn't matter. If you're on Facebook watching, maybe also consider sharing the stream to your favorite, share the stream to your Facebook profile, so that way your friends and family can get to know me and hopefully gain an interest in pool. And then, of course, share it to your favorite pool groups as well. Anybody watching on YouTube, you as well know that if liking the stream here helps me out in the YouTube algorithm, so that way more people can discover the stream, hopefully while I'm live, and then of course after the fact as well. I'm not really gonna go through all of my sponsors that I have here, but if you watch this marquee that I have coming up here, it'll show all the sponsors. And you can check out any of their products that they use. And like this one that you see, for example, JFlowers, because I'm a sponsored player by JFlowers, you'll notice how some of these have a code underneath them. It'll either be LC or Little Chris or Little Chris 10, like you see here. Those are my discount codes for those particular companies. So like for Outsville, Moonlighting Billiards, Onboard Sportswear, if you use the discount codes that are on there, you get 10% off of your purchase. You notice TaomBilliards doesn't have a discount code because I don't have one anymore. And the same goes with JFlowers. I used to have a discount code with JFlowers, but it's been long expired. The only thing I have now is a referral code, to where if you purchase a item off of JFlowers, using my referral code, I will get store credit on the website. And for any viewers that are new, you might wonder, well, if I'm a sponsored player, what the heck do I need with store credit? And you'd be absolutely right. I don't need store credit. But what I can do with that store credit is purchase something when the store credit is high enough, purchase a cue, purchase a case, or whatever, and give it away to a subscriber or follower. So what that entails is that you'll be able to help you'll help me by also helping the community, because whoever wins the queue will get that benefit. Hopefully, or anybody that has been following me long enough knows that I've done plenty of giveaways in the past, especially when I do product reviews or hit like subscriber/follower milestones. And this would just be another way for me to do more giveaways. So if you think you might have an interest in any of the JFlower products, check out their website and just use my referral code. You can see it in the description down below. Okay, so that's that I want to mention to my sponsors. I do also want to preemptively mention that I recently had an interview with JFlowers. I've been with JFlowers for a little over a year. Now, to where I exclusively use their stuff like on my YouTube channel or when I'm out playing pool in public. But I am still free to, if I want to product review another name brand, I'm allowed to do that. But since I don't have a table, can't really do it at the moment. But I did have an interview with them recently. And that video that I was able to record is going to be viewable tomorrow morning. While I'm having surgery. I have it scheduled at around tomorrow morning, I think around 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and it would just mean a lot to me if everybody would just be able to check it out when it goes. It's a lot of the same questions that I've been asked in previous interviews. Because I've been interviewed twice before now, once on the Cue It Up Network and once on the Pool Player Podcast. But the Pool Player Podcast is now called The Dog and It Show. But before it became the Dog and It Show with Melina Mike, it was the Pool Player Podcast with Joey Ryan. And I've had 2 different interviews there. So this is actually my third actual interview where somebody is interviewing me. Because a long time ago, I used to actually interview local players. And I had a playlist segment called Pool Talk. I mean, the playlist is still there. And to start that, playlist off, I basically interviewed myself. So now I have 3 interviews where somebody else is actually interviewing me. So yeah, be on the lookout for that, which means also if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe, and then just click that bell notification icon, because then you'll be notified that the video is now public for everybody to see. And I would really appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I'm gonna already go with this. Scott Kevin, you're saying good luck tomorrow. What's my recovery time? It's gonna be approximately 3 months until I'm fully recovered. Once the surgery's over, I'm supposed to spend 2 weeks in a splint, 4 weeks in a cast, and then 6 weeks in a boot. Once my ankle is wrapped in the boot, that's when I'm actually supposed to be able to start walking again and actually putting weight on it. Because prior to that, I'll either be, I'm going to be in my home. So I'll just be using crutches to get around. And the only time I'm ever really going to leave my house is when I have to do follow-up appointments. But thanks for the question. I really do appreciate that. This is an interesting question. Roland Desbians, I hope I'm saying that correctly. You're saying, speaking of cues, have you ever reviewed a carbon fiber cue with forward weight? I am going to assume what you're meaning is that the balance point of the entire cue is more forward to where you actually have to, normally the balance point is like just a little bit in front of wherever the grip might be. And if you're saying more forward weight, then I'm assuming that the balance point is actually closer to the joint, I'm guessing. If that is the case, no, I've never really reviewed a carbon fiber cue / shaft or whatever with that type of weight. Every cue that I've ever played with, or every cue that I've ever product reviewed, the cue is properly balanced to where, like I said, if you were to try to hold the cue with just 2 fingers and lay it flat, you would find the balancing point is usually just a little bit in front of the grip on the forearm of the butt. Okay, keep the questions coming. I'm always happy to answer questions while I'm doing this review. We are going to be reviewing an 8-ball match and a 9-ball match that I did have in the same night. The reason why I do my own reviews of my matches now is because I want to study what I did in the matches. And regardless if I win or lose, I want to try to see ways that I could have played better. And on top of being able to play better, regardless if I win or lose, I try to inform everybody like the strategies of how I play particular games, how I play 8-ball versus how I play 9-ball, etc., etc. So, if I win, how could I have won better? And then if I lose, how could I have performed better to where either I don't lose as bad or I at least come out with the victory? And so that way, if any of you find yourself making similar mistakes that I make in the match, hopefully what we discuss here helps you figure out how to improve from there. That's why I do these. Oh, and I did forget to mention that while I'm recovering and then figuring out ways to do content, I still have to make an official announcement that I'm going to do this. That's why I'm saying I may bring back coaching reviews. Anybody that's been following me long enough knows that I used to allow people to send me videos of themselves playing a rack of 8-ball or a few racks of 8-ball. So that way I can observe how they try to break down an 8-ball rack. And then if they position their camera appropriately, hopefully I can see the way they stroke, the way they step into the shots, all kinds of different things. So that way, as an amateur, I can give some type of advice to them that helps them improve their games. I try to spot bad habits that I might see in their form that they can work on, anything that I can possibly do that hopefully will help them out. And then therefore, they can hopefully get better. Because, for example, this gentleman here, Todd, thank you so much for being here. He was actually on the channel. I got to review his 8-ball game with Demetrius from MM Pool Bootcamp and Nate Mindham from the Queued Up Network. The three of us teamed up, reviewed his game, gave him some advice. He was very appreciative of the advice. And then from that also, he's now started his own YouTube channel. It's called Poolside Chat with Todd. So be sure to check that out. Thanks so much for being here, Todd. So without further ado, let me go ahead and queue up the first match that we're going to review. And it's going to be 8-ball. All right, so here we are. Don't know who breaks first yet, so let me get rid of this asterisk. In this matchup here, in 8-ball, I am a skill level 7, so I have to go to 5. My opponent is a skill level 6, which is why she has to go to 4. And so let's see who is going to break first. We're going to perform a lag. Anybody that might be new to the game in here, a lag is where we start with any ball that we're using, but you can't use the cue ball. You basically take any ball, and the ball has to be behind the head string. You shoot the ball towards the foot rail. It has to hit the foot rail and then come back and get as close to the head rail as possible. And whoever is the closest to the head rail is going to be the one that breaks first. So here we go. And it looks like I'll be breaking first. So we're going to put a little asterisk next to my name. And during the non-important portions of the game, I'll be speeding up the video. Okay. So, this is an old match, by the way. This match, I think, dates as far back as either October or November time frame. So I went ahead and skimmed through most of what I thought was happening during both the 8-ball and 9-ball matches. That's why you saw, if you saw the thumbnail, it says caroms, combos, and banks, because there was a lot of them that I saw that was actually happening in both matches. Let's see here. Jeff Child, I see your question, and I'll just answer with this. I have some interactive commands that are on YouTube. Actually, you know what? I do want to check something. My bot might not even be turned on. Give me just a second. I need to check something. But since the bot's probably not on, my Fargo is 650 last time I checked. And looks like, yeah, it looks like my chat bot is not even turned on. So give me just a second. And then hopefully you'll start seeing, there'll be some automated messages that pop up from time to time. And then the chat can be a little bit more interactive. Okay, so at this point here, all I can say is we can see that I'm breaking all the way off to the side here. So that means I'm trying to make the 8-ball on the break. I'm going to be contacting the ball that's in the second row, which appears to be the 14 ball. And since I break on I always prefer to break on the left side of the table. So in order to avoid scratching in the corner pocket, I do strike the ball with some bottom left spin. So that way I can get the cue ball to draw over to the side rail and then hopefully spin back towards the middle of the table. That usually allows the 8-ball to get dislodged from the rack. There's apparently some ways that you can actually rig the rack to where the 8-ball is favorable to go into the opposite side pocket from which you're breaking from. But all I know is that from breaking from the side rail and then hitting the ball that's in the second rack, the 8-ball will move out of the rack. And with it moving out of the rack, if it falls and you don't scratch in APA, that's considered a win. All other formats, the 8-ball just gets spotted because you cannot, in other formats, you cannot win off of the break. So you can see that the 8-ball moves, and it doesn't matter because I freaking scratched anyway. And if memory serves correctly, that result there, I think, prevents me from attempting to do the 8-ball break again if I get back to the table. And usually what I also like to do is, if I'm on the hill, because making the 8 on the break counts as a win, I usually try to make the 8-ball on the break when I'm on the hill to try to just end the game immediately. Okay, so I scratched on the break. My opponent has cue ball in hand, but she has cue ball in hand behind the head string. That is only after the break. Anytime other fouls are committed, then it's ball in hand anywhere. And I did forget to check to see what balls have been made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like no solids have been made. 9. And the 10 ball is gone. 11. 12. 13. It looks like the 14 and 15 are gone. So I must have made 2 balls on the break as my opponent has claimed stripes. So it's already interesting. I'm going to be curious to know what my opponent plans on doing with this area here. She cuts the 11 ball into the side pocket, which is a good shot. Nice natural position on the 13. Definitely has to be trying to go maybe from the 13 back down here to the 12, and that appears to be the case. And now the real question is going to be, what are you going to do with the 9 ball? So she makes the 12, and now what do you do with the 9 ball? I'm guessing she just shoots it out into the open. So here's something that you have to consider when you're playing 8-ball, just period. This is not a position that you want to put yourself in. When you decide whether you're going to be solids or stripes, and it really doesn't matter if you're playing APA or Bs, just 8-ball in general, this is not a position that you want to be in, where you've ran the majority of your balls, if not all of them, and you didn't finish the table. Because all that has essentially happened is you've cleared off all the obstacles for your opponent. So in this case here, my opponent has cleared the table for me. So even though I might be losing right now because I have 7 balls on the table, my opponent has 1, I actually have the advantage at this point in time. Because from here, I have to decide if I'm going to attempt to run the table or if I want to maybe pick off a few balls and then play some sort of a defensive shot. Because let me ask you this. How many times have any of y'all done something like this, and then when your opponent is shooting, when they miss, you're just hooked? You have to kick at the ball, you have to bank at the ball, and those are sometimes done accidentally. I'm pretty sure everybody has played a rack like this. And then the problem really becomes that, well, what happens when you get hooked on purpose? Because if you're well enough at the game and you can recognize that your skill set probably will not allow you to run the table. Maybe there's a couple of clusters that you have to break out, whatever. So you decide, okay, let me just make these balls here. And then after I make this ball, I'm going to play a defensive shot here to where hopefully I get ball in hand. And it allows you to stay in control of the game. Now, I just want to mention that because to me, that is just very important that everybody understands on how you should strategize playing 8-ball. If you believe that you have the skill set and are capable of running whatever table layout there is, then by all means do so. But if you can be honest with yourself and say, you know what, this layout looks really freaking difficult, I don't think I can run the table, well, then you probably shouldn't. You might want to peck off a ball or two and then send another ball if you can, maybe to cover a pocket, to block the pocket from your opponent, and then see what happens after that. You might be able to climb back up. Now, having said all that, since I'm about to come to the table, this is what I typically like to do. Since I know I'm solids here, then the only thing I need to do is realize where every one of my solids are, because I have to be able to identify, is there a trouble spot on the table? Is there a cluster on the table? And really, there isn't. So as long as I can execute good shot making, good cue ball control, and a good pattern, I should be able to just run out from here. I might be able to say, for example, well, actually, no. I was going to say whether or not if this 6 ball was kind of an issue, but it really isn't. Like if I manage to get flat on the 5 ball, I can shoot the 5 ball into the corner pocket with a stop shot, and I have a shot at the 6. Right? There's not really like a single problem that I really see here on the table. So I'm only curious as to how did I attempt to run the table from here? Because I don't see where I think I have to attempt to play safe. So it looks like I want to start with that 3 ball, and I can see I have some high outside spin, so I'm definitely going to be coming over to the head rail and then probably spinning back towards the middle of the table, possibly for position on the 5. And so like I mentioned before about getting from the 5 to the 6, do I just play a stop shot? Kind of, sort of. So I guess I don't like the 6 ball at this point, and for good reasons, because we can see that, or you should be able to see that I might run into the 1 ball. And I don't necessarily want to bump into balls unnecessarily, because then I might actually create some trouble. So it looks like I might be shooting the 2 here. It looks like I might be going into the side pocket. I'm not entirely sure. And that's probably going to give me position for the 1 ball. It looks like I might just be attempting to just roll the ball in and not really do anything funny with it. Oh, I went all the way to the corner. Never mind. Now, here's where I believe I made a mistake. Well, no, actually, I didn't make a mistake. I remember, I think later on in this run out, I make a transition mistake. My cue ball movement isn't what it's supposed to be. So it looks like I'm shooting the 6. A little bit of a stop shot, possibly for the 7 ball. And unfortunately, with the angled that we have here from the camera, I know it's very difficult to determine for everybody to be able to see what is the cut angle. Am I straight in or whatever? I do apologize for that, but sometimes I'm very limited to where I can actually set up my cameras when I'm doing the pool league. So here's the part where I know that I messed up because the idea was supposed to be here, that I have a cut angle for this 4 ball to go here, and my cue ball was supposed to come over here and then spin back this way to get position on the 1 to go into this corner. That way I can land right here for the 8 in this corner. That's what I had envisioned. However, plans don't always go accordingly, because this is where I'm hitting on the cue ball, and I run right into the 8 ball. My guess is either I must have not had enough spin, because it still looked like, you can see here that the cue ball definitely sinks through the tangent line, but I don't have enough spin to pull the ball back so that way it doesn't run into the 8 ball. So now at this point, here's where I can decide, well, do I want to continue to go for it, or do I want to play safe? Right? Because look where my opponent's ball is, right? It should be clear to everybody that I could just shoot my cue ball tap my 1 ball and leave the cue ball somewhere right around here if I wanted to where the 8 ball becomes a blocker. And then therefore my opponent would have no choice to either kick this way or kick this way in order to make some sort of hit. Or I can be aggressive and attempt to bank the 1 ball. Which I attempt to be aggressive. And after all that nonsense of running out with the not so good pattern, banking the 8 ball, or I'm banking the 1 ball, and then I botched the 8 ball. of all the things. Hashtag I'm human. So hopefully we can see there, it should be pretty obvious that my opponent was trying to safe me. She wanted to hit her 9 ball and have the 9 ball still be blocking the cue ball. Very difficult to do when the cue ball is that close to the object ball. So now I have an open shot at the 8 ball. I think all I'm just going to do is just roll it in because I have a cut angle to where I can take the rack down. So I'm up 1-0. So y'all remember on the first rack, I scratched on the break. So now where am I at? I've moved my cue ball closer to the center of the table because I'm going to do a more head-on break, and I'm hitting the head ball this time, which happens to be the 1 ball. And this is where I actually try to do a pop break to where I can get the cue ball to pop into the air and try to halt near the center of the table, kind of like that. But you can see it still has some top spin when the cue ball actually lands on the table, and that's why it rolls through. But overall, at least a pretty good break. As you can see that it pops back about towards the side pocket. I just wish it didn't have the top spin on it and go through the way that it did. Now, it does look like I made some balls on the break. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I must have made a stripe. 9. Looks like maybe the 10 ball is gone. That's the 11, 12, 13, 14. Looks like the 10 ball is gone. So in APA, because I only made a stripe, I have to take stripes. If I only make solids, then I can only play solids. If I at least make one of each, then the table would still be open. So I can make a solid and a stripe. I can make 2 solids and a stripe, 2 stripes and a solid. It doesn't matter. If there's at least one of each, the table remains open. But if you only make one type of set, then you are that set. So I am stripes. So now we rinse and repeat the exercise. Since I'm stripes, here are all of my stripes. And it's very important that I know that because I have to determine if I'm going to run the table or not. And then hopefully everybody can see this might be an issue. I have to figure out, is there a way for me to disturb that 14 ball and get it more out in the open so that way maybe I can break and run? And initially, when you look at the layout, it seems kind of tough. I'm not entirely sure how I might be able to do it. It doesn't really do me any good to try this. I don't know if that's going to do me any good. Unless I manage to run into the 3 ball and land right here, because then maybe I can shoot the 14 down here. That might be okay. But the other reason why I don't think it's a good idea is because there's no other stripe within the vicinity of my 14 ball that I can use as a backup shot. So I seriously don't think that I would attempt to do this at this point in time. Let's find out what I do. What's my opening shot from here? I am shooting the 12, but what am I doing? Okay, so I just bump into the 4 ball. Looks like I might be set up for the 15 to go into the side pocket, maybe. So I can see I got some topspin there. What am I doing? Am I going to chip the 13 afterwards, just like that? So now, here I am, not really following my own advice because, like, really, like, what can we possibly expect from here? You know, at least the 9 ball can go here, maybe the 11 ball can go here, but the 8 balls appears to be blocking some access to the 11 ball unless I happen to get somewhere right around here and maybe I can shoot it. But this is turning out to be really difficult. Let's see here. What am I shooting at? Oh, geez, I cut the 13 ball all the way down. Well, maybe that was my plan all along, so that way the 14 ball can finally be moved. Gee whiz. Does anybody have any idea what I'm doing right here? Because again, here I am, not really following my own advice to where I don't want to put myself in a situation to where I can run the entire table and not finish. But sometimes I like to see if I can break and run tables that are actually really difficult. So here I am down to my last 3 balls before the 8 ball. And what could I be possibly lining up here? Hector, I like the way you think. And there's one carom. What happens there? Does anybody what typically happens here when you think about doing carom shots? Right? The simplest trick that I can tell you is if the 9 ball were the cue ball, how would you make the 9 ball hit the 5 ball, cut the 5 ball to where it would automatically scratch? Right? Because you basically what you're looking for is the tangent angle between the 9 and the 5 to where you can see that the tangent line will take the 9 over to the corner pocket. That's pretty much what you saw me doing when I was lining that up, because I needed to see how do I have to strike the 9 ball with the cue ball in order for the 9 ball to strike the 5 ball at the appropriate angle so that way it goes right off into the corner pocket. So the simplest trick that you can do for yourself is whatever ball that you're going to attempt to carom off of another ball, take a moment and pretend that that object ball is a cue ball and see how it has to hit the other object ball and see if you can determine where the tangent line goes for that ball. Let's see, 9's gone and so is the 15. So you can see this is getting harder and harder for me, and to where it's like unless I keep bringing it with good shots, at some point in time you might be bound to miss if you're not careful. Kind of like what happened there that we did. That we didn't really see, because this is a pool hall. There's plenty of people walking around. I can't always set up the camera to where we can see everything. We didn't even see how I missed that shot, but I missed. So no break and run there. So now it looks like what does my opponent need to do here? I kind of fancy starting with that 1 ball. What ball would everybody start with here if you're solids? Good shot on the 2. Cue ball goes from one end to the table to the actually right back where they started. Good shot on the 3. Okay, now we've got a good angle on the 1 and the 5. Okay, this is looking good. I would assume the rest of the pattern might be 1 in the corner, 7 in the side, so that way we can shoot the 4 ball into the lower left corner, maybe, and then the 8 ball would go into the side. This is looking pretty good. This is actually looking real good for my opponent. Woo! Look at that. All solids are gone. 8 in the side, I presume. And there we go. So you can see, even I am a victim of not following my own advice. I still attempted to run the entire table that was very difficult when I actually probably should have picked a point somewhere to stop and hopefully still have some sort of control over the table by blocking a pocket, creating clusters, or just something that could give me a good probability of coming back to the table rather than clearing off the table for my opponent who did a really good successful run. Okay, this looks like a dry break. So now, with an open table, it's still the same exercise, except this time I have to look at every ball on the table so that way I can determine, do I want solids or stripes? And when we look at this table, this would appear to be the most difficult spot, I would think. Sure, there is a 1-7 combination that could be played. But do we really want to play combos? Wouldn't we really rather just shoot balls into pockets? Right? Jeff Childers has got the right idea. Stripes actually looks really good from here. They're all out in the open. They're not really cluttered up. Don't really see an issue that could happen here with stripes. The question is going to be is, how can we possibly come up with a pattern to where we have the best potential of being able to run out? Now, one small issue, I think, might be these 2 balls here. Because this ball looks like it can only go here or here, while right now, this ball looks like it can only go here, because it's unreasonable to say, let's play the 9 ball over here, because that means we got to get our cue ball over here in between the ball and the side pocket. And I cannot tell if the ball can go here. I don't know if the 6 ball goes. So it clearly only goes into the side pocket. All right, so that kind of tells me that, well, maybe I should be using this ball to set up for this ball. So now I have to think, well, the best ball that sets me up for this ball is going to be this ball. Because then I have to play this here. That way I can get position for this guy to go here. That way I can get position for that guy to go there. These are all the types of things that I try to think about in order to try to make my run out as easy as possible. Now, I don't really remember how I started, though. I mean, heck, I might even be inclined to go ahead and cut the 14 now, so that way my cue ball goes here, and then maybe I end up behind the 9, and I can still shoot it in the side. I don't remember. But let's find out. So it looks like I'm starting with the 10 ball. I just gently roll that in. think this is the 11 ball right here that I might be shooting at. And I must have hit that with some draw to get me position on that other stripe. I think it's the 12 ball. Let's just admire my onboard team shirt here as I stand there trying to figure out what to do. So I am taking the 12 ball into the corner pocket. What am I doing from here, though? I don't think I really got what I wanted. It would appear that I might have wanted to get position on the 13 ball, but I didn't roll far enough. So now I have no choice but to go here, to where I wonder if I'm going to stick with that that pattern that I talked about of doing the 15, 14, and then the 9. Let's find out. Well, I can't do the pattern if I miss, because there's the 14 ball, and then there would be the 9 ball. Actually, my opponent broke, so that was an inning. So now with my opponent at the table, let's see what she does. Starts off with the 3. We already talked about this scenario right here. I'd be curious if she'd want to play it right now. Maybe not. She's going for the 5. Okay, now the 6 in the side, maybe? Okay, now we're playing the combo, right? There'd be no reason to come down here just yet. So to me, that was the danger of playing the combo at this point in time. If we back up to where my opponent was like right here, I would have thought maybe now would have been the moment to play the combination. And my backup ball has to be this 5 ball, to where I can play the combination, and I know my cue ball is going to do this, because I can make my cue ball do that. I don't exactly know where the 1 ball is going to end up, because it does look like it might be a full hit, so it might stay somewhere right here. I just don't know if it's going to sit in front of the pocket. So with these 2 balls being on the table, you can see where sometimes when you just shoot open balls, you don't realize that those open balls might be helpful at solving a problem, because they give you a backup opportunity just in case that if you attempt to solve the problem and you don't solve it, your backup option helps you out. So I hope that makes sense. Because now it looks like we have no choice but to come down here for the 2 ball, and which means now we're doing all this up and down motion with the cue ball on the table. To where like this right here, this looks like it gives me a chance to be able to come back to the table. Oh, attempted to bank the 4 ball and ended up moving that 8 ball around. Okay, so as long as I don't mess up making a ball again, it would appear that my route's going to be 14, 9, 13, 8. At least that's what it appears to be. Why would I actually be looking at the 13 now? One thing's for certain is that I don't, you'll hardly ever see me just come to the table and start shooting. I actually try to observe as many options as I possibly can. Never mind about the 9 ball, considering that I end up spinning my cue ball 2 rails, which tells me that the cut angle that I just had on that 14 ball was a little too severe, which is why I had to move the cue ball the way that I did. Now it looks like I might be trying to draw the cue ball over to the side rail and back over for the 9. And I was successful at that. But I would think that the first shot, I actually wanted to get position on the 9 ball and just failed to do so. Because now I have to attempt to cut this 9 ball in, not scratch, but when I hit the rail, I would spin past the side pocket so that way I can shoot the 8 ball up here. I got the position. What can I say? I got the leave. Oh, look at that. Okay, 2 ball is gone. My opponent plays a defensive shot. I can talk about what I just did there. If anybody sees this measurement that I'm doing here, there's a rule of thumb that basically says, and I'm going to use these diamonds here since they're more visible. There's a rule of thumb to where if your cue ball is anywhere between these diamonds like this, you can actually kick towards the long rail with a boatload of outside spin. And actually, in my case, this would still be right spin, to where you can get the outbound angle. Whoops. I meant to do this. To where you can get the outbound angle to head towards the corner pocket, like so. And then if your cue ball lands somewhere in between each of these lines, well, then you end up just doing a parallel shift to whatever diamond is actually closer. So that's what you see me doing here, to where I'm going to attempt to kick my 9 ball in. But the problem is going to be is that I don't want to kick the 9 ball full, because I don't want the cue ball to follow in afterwards. I would hopefully want to be able to kick it in such a way to where the cue ball will at least come out more into the open. And I would probably be left with a bank shot on the 8 ball, if anything. But let's see what happens. Well, it looks like I must. It looks like I must have missed the entire ball. These are always interesting scenarios to me. If you're my opponent here, who starts with the 4 ball versus who starts with the 1 ball? Anybody? Because I don't necessarily think there's a right answer, but I think there are better answers. We look at what my opponent's doing here. It looks like she's got a cut angle. I can only assume that maybe she's wanting to hit the 4 into here and get the cue ball to bounce off the rail and start heading up towards the middle of the table. So that way she can shoot the 1 ball in and maybe do something like this. I don't know. Not entirely sure. My problem that I have here is the 8 ball. Now, maybe if the camera angle was more straight, I'd be able to see this a little bit better. But I would almost be concerned about getting hooked behind the 8 ball. This is just my opinion. And maybe, just maybe, because of that, I might start with the 1 ball. Now, hear me out. The only thing I would do with the 1 ball here is place my cue ball here, shoot the 1 ball in, and then make my cue ball do something like this. To where it almost doesn't matter what type of angle I get on the 4 ball. I can come up towards the middle of the table, and then I would have a shot at the 8 ball. Now, I see everybody that in the chat is already talking about it. If they're going to shoot the 4 ball, they want more of a move angle. right? You have more of an angle so that way you can hit the ball softer, because since less of the cue ball will be contacting the object ball, the cue ball is going to actually move a whole lot further. So what everybody's suggesting is that she probably should have put her cue ball right around here. Let's see what happens though. And see, that's with having a flat angle. It looks like actually she wanted to go 2 rails. That's actually not a bad idea. But even if she were to come up towards the middle of the table, whether she rolls the ball or not, like this is my concern about having that cut angle with the 1 ball. To where, again, if the camera angle was more straight to where I can see, well, how much room do we have to play? How flat could we get on that 1 ball before the 8 ball starts to become an interference? And then based on that, maybe then I would decide whether or not do I want to go ahead and start with the 4 ball or do I want to start with the 1 ball? But I at least wanted to show the option of how starting with the 1 ball and moving to the 4 and then going back up to the 8 is a possible option. But who freaking cares what the order is when you can do something like that? Holy cow, what a shot. Oh, she squat the cue ball right in the middle of the table, but then the ball gets kicked away. But another dry break. All right, so we can see here, apparently, I'm going to be taking solids. And if you don't know, when you have an open table, you are allowed to shoot a stripe into a solid, or you're allowed to shoot a solid into a stripe. You cannot shoot the 8 ball into a solid or a stripe and attempt to claim a set. But in very rare occasions, there might be a time where you can shoot a solid or a stripe into the 8 ball, and then the 8 ball can knock in a solid or a stripe in order to be able to claim a set. Simply put, when you have an open table, you can do some sort of mixed combination to be able to claim the set. You just can't use the 8 ball as the first ball in the combination. So I'm not entirely sure what I was attempting to move towards, but it does appear that I have a shot at the 5 ball. Or maybe the 2 ball? I can't tell. I'm not really liking the camera angle that I recorded this at. Okay, I had position for the 2 ball. So I think at this point, this is where we can attempt to try to look at the rack, look at the layout of the rack, and then really try to just figure out what, are there any problems? This might be a small problem. I can't tell if the 6 can go behind the 4, but the 4 at least goes. Maybe if I get the 4 out of the way, then maybe I can shoot the 6 in. And then this is a slight problem, but if I shoot the 7 ball in before it, then I can get position on it to go right here. So you can see how when you look at stuff like this, it kind of helps you determine, well, this is no longer a problem if you do X, therefore you can do Y afterwards. And these are the things that you'll typically see me do whenever I come to the table. So am I looking at a combination or am I looking at another carom? You can see I got a lot of draw. Another carom. And it looks like I hit it soft enough to where I didn't really lose the position of where the 4 ball was going to end up going. This is a habit that I think everybody needs to get into. What am I doing here? Why do I even bother coming to this end of the table? What could I possibly be doing at this end of the table? I typically do not see enough amateurs do what I'm doing here, and I definitely recommend it all the time. because this is telling me that I'm going to shoot this 4-ball, which means I know that my cue balls, I'm probably going to make my cue ball hit the head rail. And so when it comes out, what position do I want to get? Do I want to have position on the 5 to go here into the corner pocket? Do I want to attempt to spin off of the head rail and come in between the 13 and the 9 in order to get position on the 3? I'm looking to see what possible shots I can attempt to move towards for the next shot. Versus what I typically see amateur players do, they will shoot the 4-ball in, wait for the cue ball to stop moving, then go over to the cue ball and see what shot they have available. My suggestion is you need to know what shots you have available before you even shoot the current shot, because then that's what you're going to be playing position for. And I don't see enough of this from other amateur pool players, especially in APA. Oh, do I have a possibility of starting with the 5? I just got done saying I'm going to start with the 4. Oh, do I change my mind? Well, if I shoot the 5 in, look what I'm doing now. Now I'm looking to see what I can do with the 4. Well, there you go. So you saw me earlier reevaluate what my next shot could be after the 4. Now I changed my mind and said, okay, I'm going to shoot the 5, but now I'm evaluating what my next shot's going to be after the 5. Because I knew my cue ball is going to come somewhere over here. And that's why you saw me come over here and look and go, okay, well, what's my shot on the 4 going to look like? And here we are. And it looks like I didn't hit it hard enough. It looks like I was trying to get right back through the 9 and the 9 and the 13 in order to get position on the 3. Just didn't shoot it hard enough. So not a very good position for me to be in. Especially when my opponent only has to win 2 more games to my 4. Uh-oh. Oh, did I get a little lucky? Did I get a little lucky with that? Not scratching. The kick part was successful. The not scratching part, I think, is a little lucky. Okay, so let's see. Well, I also get lucky to where it doesn't look like my opponent can do much. It looks like she can see her 15 ball. Wait, what is she shooting at? Oh, she can see the 13. Maybe that was a defensive shot? I think the 14 ball is covering both the 7 and the 3. And I have to kick again. Yep. Okay, now I'm in trouble. You can see it looks like she glances at the 13 first, doesn't commit to it, starts looking around. Maybe settled in on the 12 or the 11. On the 12 ball, what a shot. Definitely can tell that the 10 ball is going to be next. Kind of a stun run through on that one. This gives her position on the 11. Gently rolls it in for position on the 15, maybe? Don't really like the cut angle that we have here. I would anticipate the cue ball to be somewhere over here, depending upon if she spins the ball or not. Yeah, see, kind of like this. And I think we're starting to lose the cue ball a little bit. Oh, holy crap, what a shot! Wow! And my opponent is a 6? Seriously? Holy cow, what a shot. Cut the 9 in the side. We have to let the cue ball go to the foot rail and come back up for position for the 8 in the same side pocket. Kind of like that. Maybe not. Now we have to go to the corner. Oh my goodness, what a freaking run out. And just like that, my opponent is on the hill. Let's see here. Scott Kevin, you said you've always planned 3 or 4 balls ahead. Before you even joined a league, you used to play a game with your friend where you would not only call your shot, but we would call the next shot too. And if we got out of position, too bad, you got to go for it anyway. You eventually realized that you developed a bad habit what? Hold on. Back up. That developed a bad habit with my good habit, though. Okay. Because hopefully what you should have realized is that sometimes maybe the next ball that you called, that you're playing position for, might not have been the right one that you should have been playing position for. There might have been a better ball that you could have been playing position for. Okay, what the heck happened on my opponent's break? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All solids are there. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. She's stripes. She made a ball on the break, so she is stripes. She likes starting with the 10 ball. Maybe not. Oh, holy crap! Who takes their opening shot and does a bank shot? Hold on. Hold on. Is this really the best ball to shoot at? I mean, this looks makeable. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's too far out from the pocket in comparison to where the cue ball is at. And I guess she didn't like the 10 ball, and then her opening shot starts with a bank shot. Harem's combos and banks. Look at that. Did we get position on the it doesn't look like it. She doesn't have position on the 10. Coming down here for the 12. There we go. Are we able to hold position? Not quite. Might have to do something with the 13 next. Might be able to cut the 11. I can't tell how much of my 4 is in the way. Oh, what a shot. But now we're in trouble, I think. To a point to where maybe she shouldn't have made that shot. Oh, she's still going for stuff. Look at this. Sometimes you gotta love it when a player's like, I'm committed. I'm gonna try to finish this freaking rack. All right, well, I've got a problem with my 5-ball. Maybe I can use the 4-ball to break it out. Maybe. Wait a minute. Did I miss a ball? Looks like I missed the 11 ball. So here I am going through my same evaluation steps of, can I run the freaking table? And maybe I don't think I planned on making that. I think that was my safety. I think that would have sucked if that 2-ball would have fell. Okay, good hit by my opponent. Kind of frees up the 5-ball. I want to go back and talk about this spot some more, because you've already heard me talk about this now. So I must have came up to the conclusion that I don't want to risk running this out. That would have to be because of this. In order for me to be able to use the 4-ball in order to break this stuff out, my cue ball would have to be basically where the 13 ball is, or I would have to try to maybe land in between the 13 and the 8. So I have to try to use any of my surrounding solids in order to be able to get there. So that becomes kind of tough to do. Maybe I could have used the 7-ball as well with the appropriate angle, but the problem is that the 8-ball blocks the appropriate angle to where if I were to shoot the 7-ball in like this, I can get my cue ball to hit the rail and then come out like this. But all of that, hopefully we all can agree, is relatively difficult. So therefore, I go ahead and play a safety. Now, if that 2-ball would have fell, that would have sucked, because then I got no choice but to keep going. Because I'm pretty sure I didn't intend on making that ball if I stuck the cue ball like this. Nonetheless, my opponent makes a good hit. And it does dislodge the 5-ball. I just don't remember if the 5-ball passes by the 9 or not. Because if it does, then my safety worked. So it looks like I'm starting with the 4-ball. Push the cue ball over to the side rail. And it looks like the 5-ball does pass by the 9. And there we go. So now my problem spot is gone. More than likely shooting the 2 next, so that way I can free up the pocket for the 3. Just like so. That was with some inside spin. I think the question becomes, though, is do I really want to shoot the 3 now that I have to bridge over the 8? Maybe not. Yeah, so I must not like wanting to bridge over the 8. This looks like I might be trying to draw the ball. Now I got to bridge over some stripes. So this isn't really the greatest pattern that I can come up with. Uh-oh. Oh, I thought that ball was going to stay up. And look at what we're doing again. We're checking to make sure where could we possibly play the 1 ball next, because it looks like I might be shooting the 3. I am at least taking a glance at the 1 ball, and then maybe I like shooting the 1 ball first. I think I can already tell that this is what's going to be next. Or maybe not that high of a spin, something like this. 3 rails around, so that way I can get fairly straight in on the 8 ball. Or I guess not straight in anymore, because now I've got a cut angle. But knowing that the cue ball was going to come into the line of the 8 ball. And there we go. My opponent is on the hill, and I still need 3 in order to win the match. So here we go again with the flat break. That's a little better. Do I make a ball, though? I don't think I made a ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, it was a dry break. Cue ball is nice in the middle of the table. Don't you hate it when that happens? Lots of congestion over here around the 8 ball. Let's see how my opponent decides to tackle this. She likes solids. She at least dislodged the 8 ball. The 2 ball has to be next here. But then now the 5 ball becomes really tricky. Good shot. Not sure how I feel about that one. And it looks like she might have missed the 4 ball. I apologize about the camera angle for this one. So interestingly enough, I think my stripes look okay. It just looks like I'm trying to find an opening shot, which it doesn't appear that I have one. Oh, but I just spotted my favorite shot. So you can't really see what happened because I was blocking the camera. But you can see right here, when I come over here, this is me looking at one of my favorite shots where I cut cross bank an object ball into the cross side pocket, knowing that my cue ball is going to go up, and then I just got to control it coming back down, hopefully to land somewhere near the middle of the table. My favorite shot to do in any game of pool, 8 ball, 9 ball, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty accurate with this shot. I make it more times than I miss. So now we have a small problem up here. We got a lonely, isolated ball. So the question is going to be, when am I going to get to it? like I'm drawing off this 14 ball. You want to maybe get somewhere over here so I can deal with these two. Ooh, almost tied that guy up. That would have been bad. But now, in order to help this guy out, I need to get these two out of the way. So I would think I want to shoot this guy next, the 13. I think I might have goofed there. Definitely would have thought that maybe I would have had position on the 15 ball, but didn't move my cue ball well enough. So I think I don't think I was intending on making the ball. I think if anything, I wanted to put my opponent in a position where in order for her to shoot at anything here, she has to bridge over this. Otherwise, she has to shoot this ball, which means her cue ball goes this way. It goes away from everything else. But she ends up banking it. Oh, I thought she made it. I thought she made the bank shot. Let me guess, am I banking the 10 ball? Yep. And apparently I'm not happy with the result. So I can only guess that I actually wanted to bump into the 11 ball and move it closer to this pocket, and that was going to be the next ball that I shoot at. But that didn't quite go according to plan. Oh, I'm going for the 9. This is definitely at an angle where I have to spin the cue ball into the 9. Ooh, I think I got a little fortunate there. You see how often I'm doing this? Right? It's pretty freaking obvious that I'm probably going to shoot the 15 that I'm probably going to shoot the 15 ball next after making that 9 ball. And then still I come over here to look to see, well, what kind of angles could I possibly get on that 11 ball in order to be able to set up for the 8 ball. Like I said, you will see me do that frequently, where I will go and look and see what my next shot could possibly be, knowing that that's the type of position that I'm going to play for. Because I would imagine here, all I'm going to do is just gently roll the ball in. I have spin. It looks like I might have a little bit of spin, and I think it's a little bit of right spin. So that way I can shoot the 8 into the cross corner pocket, in the opposite corner pocket. All right. Even though on scoreboard, we're tied 3-3, but really, I'm still trailing behind because I need 2 racks to win the match. My opponent only needs 1. Holy crap, how many balls did I make on the break? I saw the 1 ball fall. We got the 10, the 13, and the 14. So I made 4 what is that? 4 stripes and one solid. So the table's open, thankfully. And how many times has any of y'all ever broken a rack and you make, let's say you make 3 or 4 solids, but you can't run the solids. Like the solids are set up in such a way to where you can't run them, and you actually have to try to run stripes if you're playing a non-APA match, or vice versa, where you have to attempt to run the other set, even though there's more balls on the table. Hey, there we go. Let's take a look at that again. So clearly, I look at the table here. If I were to play solids, my opening shot would probably have to be the 3 ball, right? I think we all can see that. But we can see that the 4 and the 2 become issues, right? The 2 ball can't go over here. I can only play the 2 ball into this corner pocket. There's not really a ball that I can play in order to get the cue ball somewhere over here to play the 2 ball. And then, of course, the problem is with the 4 ball. But I see an opportunity now with stripes to where, just like you saw, if I play the 10 ball into this corner pocket here, I can get my cue ball to go to the side rail and then come back over and try to disturb this stuff. The problem is going to be, though, that I have to disturb it just right in order for me to have a shot, because the 14 ball is a little too far away from the corner pocket. If the 14 ball was right here, then I have 0 issues. All I'd have to do is just make sure that I separate these two in such a way to where I can now shoot the 13 ball. But if I can't shoot the 13 ball right then and there, then I could shoot the 14 ball and just maneuver back to the 13 ball. In this case here, with just a rolling cue ball and probably a touch of outside spin, I bump into the 4, bump into the 11, or I'm sorry, bump into the 13 ball to where I have a shot at the 13 ball. And so more than likely, I'm just gonna shoot the cue ball, or shoot the 13 ball. Cue ball will go to the side rail and come back out towards the rack area for a shot at the 14. Oh, I put a lot of inside spin on that ball then. Never mind. What am I gonna do here? Am I just gonna roll this one in? I roll that one in and come up towards the middle of the table. More than likely to shoot the 8 ball right here. Yes. And just like that, with a break and run, now we're officially tied. Because now I'm on the hill. And like I mentioned before, making the 8 ball on the break counts as a win. So since I'm on the hill, I am going to attempt, again, to make the 8 ball on the break, even though on my very first break, I scratched on the break. And look at that 8 ball. Like I said, the 8 ball's moving, but it doesn't fall. It did look like I made a stripe on the break. Let's see here. Looks like maybe the 9 ball's gone. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, just the 9 balls. So I'm stripes for the last rack. And here's the issue ball. Right there, you see? Like, I identify it immediately. So now, before I even start shooting, I got to attempt to come up with a pattern to where, can I break it out? How am I possibly going to solve this 13 ball? If that 7 ball wasn't where it's at, this guy, then maybe I can do it right now. Oh, what am I doing here? Slightly elevated. Well, I attempted to solve the 13 ball right then and there. That wasn't a bad shot, I have to say. See that? Even though knowing that this is my next ball, I still have to look at everything else to make sure what my plan's going to be if I'm going to attempt to run out. Looks like I might have gotten position on this ball here, the 12 ball. This is starting to get interesting. Can't tell what ball that is. I think that's the 12 ball's gone. So that looks like, oh, geez, wait a minute. how many more combos, caroms, and banks are we gonna get during this match? Do I gotta do another one? Off the 4 ball? Or could I just cut it in? What am I doing? I can't tell what spin I have on the ball. I'm high on the ball. I was able to cut it in, bump into the 8-ball. Well, this is for a 2-pack, right? If I can finish this whole thing. Here it looks like I might have been trying to see if I can do something like this. And then that way, hopefully I run out from here. That's what you saw. You saw me lay my cue down along this line here. Oops. Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it, right? Come on, how many of y'all wanted me to make that ball and get position on the 8? Oh, dear Lord. Now, I haven't done this yet, and I typically like to do this. It looks like my opponent's going to shoot the 3-ball. What ball do y'all start with? For me, I'm not starting with the 3-ball. I'm starting with a different ball. And I'd like to know what ball everybody else here would start with. She shoots the 3 in. Has position on the 4. Maybe gets natural position on the 7. Yep. Okay, she has position on the 6 or the 2. She likes the 2-ball. That gives her position on the 6. Whoops, did that wrong. Six goes down. That gives her position on the 1 or the 5. She's going for the 5. Uh-oh. What happened? Oh, she made the ball, but then tied up the 1 ball. And then ends up with a decent save. Okay, so before we see the rest of the match, we got to go all the way back to here. Because we can see that some people like to shoot the 5-ball first. Jeff Childers, Ed Schickel, I hope I said that correct. James Summers says the 3 or the 5. Then corrects himself by saying the start with the 5 and draw. Me personally, because again, really, I don't really think there's a right or wrong answer here. I do think there are better answers. There are better options. She could have still ran the entire table with the pattern that she chose. She just didn't. But I think we all can agree that as we got towards the end there, it started to get more and more difficult until to the point to where, oops, we goofed. When she shot the 5-ball, it looked like she might have bumped the 8-ball, and that's what tied up the 8 and the 1. So me, personally, I happen to agree that I think we should have started with the 5-ball. Using our ball in hand, we can use the ball in hand to take out the 5 and take out the 1 immediately into this corner pocket here. And then after that, now you've got these 5 balls that you pretty much can play on this portion of the table, and almost no matter what, your cue ball is going to be down there as well when you're ready to shoot the 8-ball. I hope that makes sense to everybody. If you attempt to do any type of pattern where you leave the 5 and the 1, because this is where I think sometimes players fall for a trap, to where the 5 and the 1 are the balls that are next to the 8. So therefore, from that, I probably shouldn't have to be able to move my cue ball very little, and I'll have position on the 8-ball. In some cases, that is true. In some cases, that is absolutely true. But you can see here, because of the pattern and because of the transitions, that wasn't exactly true, at least in this scenario. So I agree with the chat here. I would have started with the 5-ball. Then I would have most likely transitioned over to the 1-ball. So I'd have like just a small angle or something, shoot the 5-ball in, hit the rail, come out towards this part of the table here, to where I would probably want to either be able to shoot the 1-ball and go either 2 rails around, or just draw it straight back, so that way maybe I can shoot the 4 next. And we can look at the rest of this and go and see that it's probably going to be, I can probably say that it's going to be like shoot the 4 here. That gives us position on the 7 to go here. Maybe we would get position on the 6. And then, I don't know, like it almost really doesn't matter at that point. Hopefully we can see that, to where any order that we run, that we almost run these 5 balls in, we're going to have a shot at the 8-ball. So I at least wanted to cover that, to where that's always the reason why you want to make sure that before you just start shooting balls out, you got to make sure that you just analyze the entire table and figure out what's the best pattern to possibly run. Or what is the best pattern that you can possibly come up with? Now, I don't really have a shot here, so the only thing I try to do is play a safety. And I messed up. The idea was supposed to be is that the 8-ball was supposed to hit the rail and come back out, and the 8-ball would be the blocker. But the 8-ball is not the blocker. I give her a shot. But unable to close out. I have an opportunity to win the game. And I take it down. You can see that was an exhausting match for me, as I was down, 3 to 1 at one point in time. But I managed to just claw my way back up. There were plenty of times where my opponent probably could have finished me off, but this is pool. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. If y'all saw my last live stream when I was playing up against another skill level 9 and 9-ball, I got my butt kicked, but then I was able to win in 8-ball. Here, it looked like I was almost about to lose, but then I still managed to crawl my way back. So I think the main points that I want to highlight, that what you saw from here, besides me still shooting not as good as I think I could have shot, but just the way that I strategized taking down most of the racks. Always looking at the table and making sure I knew where all of my balls were at, identifying trouble spots as soon as possible, identifying and trying to solve the trouble spots as soon as possible, and then trying to pick patterns to where the likelihood of being able to run out is as high as it possibly can be. And even though you can execute good strategy and whatnot, or you can have a good plan, you still have to be able to execute. Because no matter what, even though you might have a good plan, you can still mess up. And even though it might be an easy run out, you can still mess up. It's always possible. But I think if you at least take the extra time and really try to figure out the best way to figure out a rack, if a rack is not solvable according to your skill level, don't try to run it out. Peck off a couple of balls and then send a ball to block a pocket. And then see if you get back to the table. If you have the skill set, then you got to know if there's any clusters, how to solve them, and pick a good pattern, and you'll be able to run out. Okay, let's see here. So at this point in time, I'm just going to take a small break as I set up for the next match, which is going to be 9-ball. Does anybody have any questions before I proceed? And while we're at it, I'll go ahead and take a moment right now to say that if you haven't done so already, please give the stream a thumbs up. If you're on Facebook, maybe consider sharing the stream to your Facebook profile so that way your friends and family can get to know me and maybe gain an interest in playing pool. And then, of course, share the stream to your favorite pool groups. Everybody that's watching on YouTube, liking the stream or giving the stream a thumbs up on YouTube helps me out in the algorithm so that that way more people can discover the stream, hopefully while I'm live, and they can interact with us as well, or at least discover the stream after the fact. Goba44, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. Have I watched Ultimate Pool? I have. It's pretty much, isn't it pretty much APA 8-ball with I think some minor modifications to it, meaning that slop counts in Ultimate Pool. I think, some caveats are, I know in Ultimate Pool, you cannot intentionally foul, meaning that you can, sometimes there's a strategy to where, like, if you're solid, sometimes you might want to pocket your opponent's stripes or purposely foul and take your opponent's stripes and cluster them up. You're not allowed to do that. I think you actually lose the rack if you do that. The entire match is under a time frame. And if you, if you don't, I don't remember what happens if the time runs out. Like, if the time runs out and there's no winner, I think you have to do like some sort of shoot off to where it's a 6-ball shootout. I think it's what it's called, to where they'll rack a triangle of 6 balls and you have to break and run them as quickly as possible. And whoever does it the quickest is the one that ends up winning the match. I don't know the rest of the rules, but I have watched it, and it does get kind of exciting there towards the end as that timer does start to tick down. Eric Stewart, thank you so much for watching on Facebook. You're saying, which JFlower cues am I shooting with? So I have 2 sets of cues. The one that you'll mainly see on my channel, like when I'm actually at home, is the JF. I think it's the 2021. I have a chat command that works on YouTube, but it doesn't work on Facebook. But let me just double check and make sure that I'm talking about the correct cue. And I can actually share which one it is. But as far as my playing cue that I have outside, I don't really like talking about that one because it is a very expensive cue, and I only happen to get it because I'm a sponsored player, and I will just leave it at that. But as far as what I shoot with on my YouTube channel, like what I used to shoot with in my garage, is the JF 2021. I just replied to your chat in Facebook, and then I have the breaker cue for a break, and the jumper for a jump cue as well. All right, let's see here. Come on, Todd. Bullseye chat with Todd. This is the same Todd at the very beginning that I mentioned on the stream. I've had him on my channel before, where he recorded himself playing through 3 racks of 8-ball and me Nate and Demetrius reviewed his game and gave him some pointers, and then he eventually started his own YouTube channel. He wants to know, how can he be good like me? First of all, thank you for that type of compliment. There's no simple answer. Then you got to practice. I can honestly say that I actually used to be against doing drills. And when I say against doing drills, what I actually mean by that is having a set of balls, on the table in a particular pattern to where you have to clear the table. And what you end up finding out on those particular types of drills, they're more like pattern challenges and not actually drills. And what I mean by that is, to complete a pattern challenge, you would have to unleash multitude of skills in order to be able to clear the table. Drills, what I like to call drills, is where I'm going to take an individual skill of the game and work on it. So, for example, draw shots. When I want to practice my draw shots, I would set up a particular shot where the object ball is so far away from the pocket and the cue ball is so far away from the object ball. And then maybe what I want to do is practice drawing the cue ball back a foot. Practice drawing the cue ball back 2 feet. Practice drawing the cue ball back to where it started. Right? So that way I'm working on how low and how fast do I have to hit the cue ball in order to get it to draw back different types of distances. And then sometimes, of course, I might try to do full table draw shots. That to me is a drill. And those are the types of drills I'm much, much more in favor of, to where you can take an individual skill and work on it to the point to where you can get really good at it. Bank shots are the same way. Practicing combos, practicing take any aspect of the game, find one aspect of the game and just set up that particular type of shot to where you're going to use the same skill over and over again. Now, I have actually come up with some of my own pattern like drills, but I give a condition on how you're supposed to run the pattern out. And the condition is you have to use the same transition over and over again. So, like, if you look on any of my YouTube shorts or Facebook reels, you'll see what I'm talking about, to where, like, I might have a set of a line of 9 balls lined up near the foot spot, and I'll run them out, and they're set up in an order to where I run them out in numerical order, but you always see my cue ball hit a side rail. And that would be the condition, to where, like, you always have to hit a side rail in order to run out. Or you might always have to transition your cue ball 2 rails in order to be able to shoot the next ball in. Stuff like that. Sometimes I think I have a couple of drills to where, like, I might have, like, not done the transition correctly, but I got position on the ball, so therefore I went ahead and kept on shooting anyway. But for the most part, that's what I like to do when it's actually when it refers to drills. Keep practicing on those, and then over the course of time, everything just gets better and better. I did see a comment a while back. I want to see if I can actually find it. So give me just a second. It's got to be in here somewhere. Might not take too long to try to find it. And I'm about to give up. But basically, it was a comment saying that because enough time has gone by, one particular viewer that was in here said how much better I must have gotten, because he remembered that they remembered that my Fargo was around 620. And that's what it was for the longest time. I kind of leveled off between like 625 and 629. I'm still trying to find the comment while I'm talking. Well, lately I've been playing in a BCA 9-ball league on 9-foot tables, which is actually the table size that I would actually prefer to play on, as opposed to 7-foot tables that we're playing on here for the APA. And I've been able to, before I got rid of my table, as I moved into my new home that I'm not settled into yet, here it is. This is from Fuggles Me. That's a good YouTube handle. Seems that your Fargo is going up because last you remember that I was a 620-ish. Well, I've been putting in enough practice, and then because of the league that I play in on now, to where I actually get to face up against quite a few other 600 players, and we go back and forth, but I get to work on my game and try to improve the skills and stuff, and I've climbed all the way up to being about 650. So yeah, like, it's a long journey in order to be able to get as far as you've gotten, Todd. But all I can say is keep it up, man. It's bound to happen. It's just bound to happen. Okay, let's see here. I think that's pretty much it for now. Let's go ahead and move on over to 9-ball. And I need to update the scoreboard because now we're playing 9-ball. But in 9-ball, I'm a skill level 9, and I'm playing against the same opponent. And she's a skill level 7 in 9-ball, as opposed to being a skill level 6 in 8-ball. So APA 9-ball is point-oriented, to where every ball is worth a point, and the 9-ball is worth 2 points. So you have a total of 10 points for the entire rack. So this is where, to me, like, it gets a little bit wishy-washy, really, when you think about it, because if you're just familiar with playing 9-ball, to where the only ball that really matters is the 9-ball, well, in the APA format, you can be the player that runs balls 1 through 8 and miss, and then the opponent makes the 9-ball. And you would think, well, I made the 9-ball, so therefore I won the rack. Well, yeah, you won the rack, but according to the score, you've only got 2 points, while your opponent has 8 points. So therefore, you're actually losing on points. So that's how that works there. So as a skill level 9, I have to go to 75 points, where my opponent, as a skill level 7, she only has to go to 77 points. So let me reset everything. Scores are now set to 0 innings. And then the label that you see here, dead balls, we didn't see that on the 8-ball format. What that basically means is if you pocket 1 or more balls and foul, scratch, or actually commit a foul during your shot, then nobody gets those points. So therefore, that's what's referred to as dead balls. So between my score, my opponent's score, and the number of dead balls, when you add all those 3 scores up together, they should add up to some increment of 10. Now, I'm going to warn everybody up front, I am horrible at keeping score real time. So you're all going to have to help keep me straight during this, but I will try my best. Here comes the lag. Let's see who's going to break first in 9-ball. And it looks like my opponent's going to break first. So 9-ball is a little bit different than 8-ball when it comes to the strategy. It really just boils down to, can you run out the layout or not? So she makes the ball on the break, has a shot at the 1 ball. 2 balls sitting at the head end of the table as well, so nothing really difficult there. But now to get to the 3 ball, we have to transition back to the other end of the table. So like running into the 8 ball, I'm pretty sure was not part of the plan, but she's like thumbs up anyway. And holy crap, kicks the 3 ball in like it was no problem. tries to back cut the 4 ball into the corner pocket, but scratches on the side pocket after coming off the 8. Now, this isn't really a rack to where I want to discuss a particular topic on. Clearly, we know I'm going to try to shoot the 4 ball in such a way to where I get position on the 5, then get position on the 7, then get position on the 8. And then, of course, the 9. But there is a topic that I do like to talk about whenever I'm playing 9 ball. So 4 ball goes down into the side pocket. I just shoot that with just some top spin to roll forward for the 5. Looks like I got some top spin again. Must have caught the point, because I think earlier when I was planning, I wanted to get the cue ball somewhere right around here so I could shoot the 7 into the side pocket. But nonetheless, I'm still going to go ahead and shoot the 7 into the side pocket because the cue ball should naturally go 3 rails around. I just hope I don't get hooked behind the 9. Kind of like that. Draw back slightly off the 8 for position on the 9. Oh, never mind. I stunned over to the side rail and back out. And there we go. So you can see between our 2 scores, they add up to 10 because the first rack is over. Now, I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but we are using template rack. More specifically, we're using the Accu-Rack by Outsville. And interestingly enough, I've talked about this before on previous live streams to where, for some particular reason, and I don't think it has anything to do with the rack, the wing ball doesn't always go. And when I say always, actually I shouldn't say always, because there's always like that 1% chance that it might not go in. But for some reason, it's very difficult to make the wing ball on a templated rack. And when I discovered this, that's why I started breaking like this, to where I'm more towards the, I'm basically breaking from close to the matchroom box. It's I'm a little bit on the outside of the matchroom box, and I'm doing a cut break to where I'm actually aiming more for the 1 ball to go into the side pocket than I am for making the wing ball. Because watch. You see that? Look where that 5 ball goes. It goes high, or misses high from the pocket. And then the other thing is, look at the 9 ball. Typically, the 9 ball shouldn't even move, but no ball ran into it. The 9 ball is freely moving out of the rack. This leads me to believe that there's something up with the balls. To where I don't know if you can, to where like it is a little difficult to get them all frozen up together. And don't get me wrong, occasionally that wing ball does go. But if you pay close enough attention and watch the way the 9 ball is moving, it just seems weird to me. This is actually a good question. This is from Kyle Kerr on YouTube. It says, does Double Jeopardy lead up a long night/day versus regular 8 ball or regular 9 ball? Well, we're actually playing 8 ball and 9 ball at the same time. So really, the time frame is roughly the same. We're playing 5 matches, but we're doing 2 matches at a time. So like when I was reviewing my 8 ball match, and you saw sometimes where players were getting in front of the camera, well, those were players that were playing against my teammates on another table. So the time frame actually comes out to about the same, to where, like, a night could end up being 3 to 5 hours long, depending upon how matches end up going. Let's see. So I played a safety there, but did I make a ball before that? I played a combo, so I made the 4 ball, and then played a safety. Okay. Here, I would tend to think my opponent would just answer back with another safety. Yeah, kind of like that. Good shot. All I can do here is kick at the ball and hopefully get a good hit. This is a measuring system that I learned from Tony Robles. I'll go back and explain it here. I do have a video specifically, or that specifically talks about how to do this system here. What we're doing is I'm drawing a straight line from the one ball to the side rail here that I'm going to be kicking to, and it's a perpendicular line from the one ball. Then you see me pivot my cue to where now I have a line that goes from the point on the rail that goes in between the one ball and the cue ball. Then you're going to see me parallel shift this line over the cue ball to where I should end up with something that looks like this. Whoops. Let me try to actually draw an actual parallel line to what's on the video. Something like this, to where if I can kick and hit this point with the appropriate speed and no spin on the cue ball, then I have a high probability of hitting the one ball. Because you have to remember that if you hit a kick shot too hard, that can affect the outbound angle to where instead of it coming out normal, it will actually get shortened. If you hit a kick shot too soft, the normal outbound angle will actually widen. And then the same effect goes with side spin. If you put outside spin with the kick angle, it'll widen the outbound angle. And if you put inside spin, or the opposite spin of which you're kicking into, then you'll end up coming up short. But if you want to see a more in-depth tutorial on how to do that system, check out the video that I'm talking about. I think I labeled it the easiest kicking system, one rail kicking system there is. And you can see I was able to get a good hit. Now I still end up selling out a shot, but to me it's better than giving up ball in hand. You saw how many times she banked during the 8-ball game. Well, it still keeps up during the 9-ball game. She's really good at banking. Good shot on the 2, coming around for the 3. Avoid the side pocket. Never mind. Let's see here. So that is actually a dead ball. Nobody gets that point. So this is pretty straightforward. I'm lined up. I guess the 2 ball should be gone. I'm lined up for the 3 ball. I'm just going to follow forward for the 5 in the left corner. Looks like then I draw back a little bit for a position on the 6 for the same corner. There I just rolled up, so that way I can have position on the 7. Here, I just want to try to play a stop shot. I think I have a small angle though on the 7. Yeah, so it does end up drawing back slightly. And then I can just draw back slightly on the 8. And play the 9 in the corner. Nothing really too terribly difficult there. And not a whole lot of movement on the cue ball either. So there, see, the score is messed up. I don't know where I messed up because this currently adds up to 19. I'm going to go ahead and give my opponent a point though. So now it adds up to 20. Let's see here. Buggles Me from YouTube. You're saying, what is your technique, if any, to create a random 9-ball rack? What does that mean? And the reason why I say that is because how many times do you have to see it, or do you have to make sure that every ball is at a different spot during the rack? We all know that the 1 and the 9 are not going to be moving, so therefore you have 7 other balls that you have to just randomly place somewhere. So if one of the balls ends up in the same spot 2 consecutive times, is that no longer considered random, even though the other 6 are random? So when you're talking about random, how random are we actually talking about? If anybody's played in tournaments where typically you have the 2-ball in the back of the rack, that's something that I have a habit of doing, to where now I have the 1, 9, and the 2 locked into positions, and then I have 6 balls that I end up having to try to randomize around. But then lately, I have been playing in some tournaments that'll say they don't want the 2-ball to be in the back of the rack. So therefore, I just start randomizing stuff all over the place. So, because I try not to do any form of pattern racking, with the exception of if I do start placing the 2-ball in the back of the rack when it's permittable, then you have a pattern of the 1, 9, and the 2 being where they're always going to be at, and then the other 6 can be randomized as best as they could. See, where'd the 5-ball go that time? Same thing, goes high instead of going into the pocket. And then look at the 9-ball. 9-ball just freely moves out of the rack. Looks like I end up with a dry break. Oh, that's just too good. That's just too good. Oh, a twofer. And then we have to play a safe. So with the 5-ball being where it's at, I don't really want the cue ball to do any type of movement, so I just roll it in and take an angle on the 5-ball. This, I'm more than likely just trying to stun behind the 8, or to the left side of our 8, so that way I can have position on the 6. And then I just draw back slightly with some bottom right spin to have the 8-ball into the side pocket. And I think I actually got I think I got straight in on this ball here, which is why you see me do what I'm about to do. I power draw it back so that way I can get flat, or I tried to get flat on the 9, but I end up having a small back cut angle on the 9 ball. And I'm able to take the rest of that rack down. So just so we understand, what I really wanted to happen when I shot this 6 ball is I wanted the cue ball to come back off of this rail in such a way to where I could just shoot the 8 ball like this. And my cue ball would just drift forward and I wouldn't have any issues. But because I got 2 straight in, I could still shoot it by just rolling the cue ball, but then my cue ball is going to roll this way. And this is what my shot on the 9 ball would look like, which is still doable. I just want to try to create an easier shot. But because I really didn't get the best transition from the 6 to the 8, that's why I ended up power drawing it in order to get better position from the 8 to the 9. So I hope that makes sense. Oops. So as you can see, I'm having a difficult time trying to make a ball on the break. Ooh, barely overcuts the 1 ball and leaves it in the pocket for me. I think here I'm just going to try to spin off the long rail back towards the middle of the table. Looks like I might have hit that just a tad bit too hard. You can see me shaking my head. I don't like it. Oh, and I rattled that one in. That would have been at least a decent shot, transitioning from the 2 to the 3 in order to play the 3 ball into the same corner pocket. It's a good shot by my opponent. Same idea as I had, playing the 2 and the 3 in the same corner. Good cut shot on the 3. Gets a nice friendly bump on the 4 ball. She's checking to see what type of angle she's going to have on the 5 ball after the 4 ball. This is good planning. Rolls forward 1 rail in order to get to the 5. Maybe a slight draw shot here. Yeah, kind of, sort of. A little stunned out a little bit, but she has position on the 6. Uh-oh. Shot the 6 maybe just a tad bit too hard. I don't know if she wanted to run into the 7 or just try to get position on the 7. Oh, she's... I think that's the first bank shot she's missed. I thought she might have banked that one in. So I think at this point here, I wasn't really fond at the way that I was shooting when we go all the way back to even my 8-ball match and then including this match here. Because even though I have an opportunity to maybe cut the 7 ball into this corner pocket, I decided to play this type of safety here where I can try to get the 7 ball and the cue ball to just trade spots from one end of the table to the other. This is actually a very difficult safety to attempt because it's real easy to have the 7-ball just land somewhere near the middle of the table instead of actually getting to end up rail to rail. But with that safety, my opponent attempts to do something, and then now I have a much better shot that I'm more comfortable at trying to take. Because I can just roll this ball in, cue ball will naturally go to the side rail and come back out for position on the 8. I don't really have to use any side spin on this one. So I can just put all my focus into making the 7-ball. And pretty much just do the same thing here, except this is more of a stun shot. I'm going to stun into the side rail and then come back out. That's why you see I hit the ball much harder. And there we go. Hey, that looks right. Let's see here. Poolside chat with Todd. You're saying, why not come off the 7 with 1 right to get behind the 9? You're talking about this shot, right? You're talking about this shot right here. So when you see how I execute the shot, look where I'm able to get the cue ball in comparison to the 7. So if I hit this shot harder with spin, yeah, I might be able to get the cue ball behind the 9 like you're suggesting. Then imagine where the 7-ball might end up. The 7-ball, since it's going to have more momentum going into it, might end up coming all the way back to where maybe she's still going to have a shot on it. So I think the margin of error that I have here is just a little too big to where I can still end up selling out a shot. Versus here, even if the 7-ball doesn't go as far as I'd like, I'm at least cutting off access to the cue ball by trying to get it close to the foot rail as possible. That would be the reason why I didn't elect to try to put the cue ball behind the 9. Now, if the cue ball was more like right here, then maybe I would try to do something like that, because I think I would be able to have more control. If it's a little bit closer and a little bit more straight on, then I think it's a little bit more possible, because I don't want to also risk cutting this a little bit more and then having the cue ball get closer and closer to this corner pocket. That's what I was more worried about, which is why I elected to do what I did here. Yeah, I made a ball on the break. 2 balls on the break finally. I have to bridge over the 3 ball, so let's see if I can actually cut this 1 ball into the pocket. I end up missing it completely and accidentally got behind the 1 ball and almost kicked it away. Wait, no, the 1 ball's still on the table. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 8 ball's gone. The 5 and the 8 were made on the break. I've seen her bank multiple times, so why leave a bank? I think every time that she's banked the ball, like you said, she's had access to the cue ball. So how often do you think are you going to try to do a bank shot when you don't have access to the cue ball, especially when it's a full table bank shot? Because I got the cue ball very close to the rail, so all she can do is access the top portion of the cue ball. So I'm more favorable to leave something like that and take the gamble for it. All right, so I think I messed up here. So I think my opponent made the 1 ball, and she should be at 15. I actually play a 3-ball combination because when you look at this, what are my other alternatives? Maybe I could have played the 2-ball, gotten some sort of angle on the 3-ball, and then have to try to break the 3-ball or break the 4-ball out from the 3-ball. But instead, I elect to do this. The only caveat to it is even though I successfully made the 4-ball, look what happens to the 2-ball. So it's like, well, in retrospect, should I have even played this shot? Maybe I should have went ahead and played the 2-ball and then tried to use the 3-ball to break the 4 out. Not entirely sure. I would have thought the combo was the right choice had I done better with the positioning of the 2 after the combo. So I've tried to play a kick shot there, but was unsuccessful at getting the 2-ball to hit a rail or anything to hit a rail. So I committed a foul. My opponent has ball in hand. So 2 to the 3 was no problem. Here you probably just roll to the short rail and come back out for the 6, just like this. Can probably do the same exact thing to get to the 7. Pretty much like that. And then, I don't know, maybe draw back for the 9. Yeah, no disagreements with that pattern choice and cue ball execution. That's what I get for fouling. I get punished. So even my opponent has a hard time making a ball on the break. Oh, I didn't even realize I could see the 1 ball. Okay, nice 2 railer there to get to the 3 ball. Roll the 3 ball in order to get position on the 4. This looks like here where I might try to draw over to the side rail, unless I'm flat enough to where the cue ball just kind of stuns over in this direction. Yeah, never mind. So I was flat enough on the 4 ball. Same thing. Except that had to have been done with some bottom left, so that way when it hits the rail, it kicks off to my right. Oops. Oh, I don't think I wanted to run into the 7 ball. I think that was a mistake. That was attempt at another safety where you zigzag the ball back up towards the middle of the table, and this is the risk that could end up happening to where I didn't hit it hard enough, so now she's got a free shot at the 7. Oh, but bobbles the ball. I get fortunate. there you can see I'm checking to see, does the 8 ball pass by the 9 ball? Because if it doesn't, I'm going to do a different type of move. What am I thinking about doing here? Looks like I'm hitting a little high on the cue ball. Well, don't think that's what I wanted, but okay. Hey, no problem, Todd. Thanks for stopping by, man. Let's see. Am I trying to bank this ball or am I trying to play safe? Nope, I went for the bank on that one. Just came up a little short. Got a little lucky on the leave, though. And I can already tell that I'm missing a couple of points here. Like I said, I'm terrible at trying to keep a score live. Oh, my opponent missed her second bank. Let's see. I think here I don't think I would be going for the bank. I wonder if I'm going to try to tuck the cue ball behind the 9. Yeah. That's done with some bottom left. And I managed to get ball in hand. The benefits of playing defensively. So 2 points are missing. I'm going to go ahead and just give them to my opponent. You'd almost think I can make that 9 ball with the way it comes out of the rack, but it looks like I end up with another dry break. And I've yet to see a spot that I would like to talk about a specific topic that my coach Demetrius likes to call it the key transition. And I haven't seen a good layout yet where we can talk about that. One should be popping up hopefully here soon. Whoops. I don't think my opponent wanted a ball to fall, as the cue ball is tucked nicely behind the 7 ball. Don't think she's happy about that. Tries to multi-rail kick at the 1 ball. How many of y'all would actually, in this position here, you can see she's trying to kick and hit the 1 ball. How many of y'all would go ahead and maybe take an opportunity to try to kick the 9 in and get it away from that pocket? The 9 ball doesn't become a dead ball. The 9 ball would get spotted on the foot spot, and then I would still end up getting ball in hand. I think this would be the move I would attempt to make in this particular situation, instead of trying to make a hit on the 1 ball. Let's see, is the 2 ball going to go into the same pocket? Yep. All right, I actually would have thought I would have attempted to set up for the 4-ball to go into the side pocket, but it looks like I set up for a safety. Yeah, I've already played one safety and one rack, so this is a safety in another rack. I'll almost get to hit there. And now the 9-ball is really stuck in the pocket. So I think we all can see here that sometimes when I have ball in hand and the 9-ball's in the pocket, I will still try to maximize the points that I can get. Meaning that if the 5-ball was anywhere else, I wouldn't be setting up to do this. Right, because I'm going to get the point for the 4-ball and now take the 5-9 combination to go ahead and start into the next rack. So really, all I end up getting, what ends up happening now is that there's 4 more balls left on the table. Right, so I get the 2, and then those other 4 balls are considered dead. Let's see, is that right? Yeah, that looks right. And so I really could have gotten more points if I wanted to risk actually getting short side position on the 5-ball and shoot it over here into the corner. But clearly you can see, because of the way that I've been currently playing during this match, I'm like, nope, we're not gonna risk that this time. Let's go ahead and just end the rack and start the next one. Where under other circumstances, like if I'm playing good for the night, I will try to maximize the amount of points that I can get in a rack and go ahead and go for the entire run out. So since breaking from the box isn't working for me, now I'm all the way over to the side rail to see if I can get better results. So that looked like it was more of a head-on break, and I actually drew the ball a little bit, and I still end up breaking dry. I think here I see an opportunity for a safety, right? You can just kind of shoot straight at the 1-ball with the stop shot and tuck it behind the 3 as the 1-ball banks away. Or you can do that. Wow, what a shot. We're going to see another bank shot? 2 for 2. It sets up for a 3-9 combination. Look at that. Holy cow. So the 9-ball's gone. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dead balls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That looks right. That was a quick end to that rack. It can be, Kyle Kerr. Double Jeopardy might lead to a higher workload for a captain. It can be that way. Because even like right now, I have my match here. There's an 8-ball match going on right beside me. And so I at least, I think on this particular night, I have a skill level 6 with me. So sometimes if I'm just a little too busy, then the skill level 6 can do timeouts if necessary. But then sometimes, even during my match, I might have to do a coaching session during a timeout. So it does get a little it can get a little hectic. Okay, actually, you know what? let's talk about this. When we look at the layout of this table here, we already saw the position that I ended up trying to play, where I cut the 1 ball in, had the cue ball come back over to the foot rail and back up towards the 3 and the 5, so that way I could shoot the 2 into the corner pocket. So the topic that I was talking about, called the key transition, is the shot and the move to the next ball that basically solves the entire rack. And the question is going to be what do we think is going to be the key transition here? Meaning that if we are able to hit the shot and get the transition, then we should be able to solve the rack. Hopefully when everybody looks at this one here, we would all agree that it's from the 7 to the 8. Because all of the other balls don't require really a whole lot of movement, with the exception of the opening shot that I had here. And you know what? Maybe even the 3 to the 4 might be the key. So this rack actually has 2 key transitions. And the reason why it's important to understand these key transitions that I'm talking about is because it dictates how you end up playing the previous shots in order to get up to the key transition. Meaning that, for example, we already saw that I shot the 1 ball in, and then my cue ball hits the rail, comes down here, and then starts, I think, comes back up here. I don't remember exactly where it landed. But now, when I shoot the 2 ball, where do I want my cue ball to be in order for me to get to the 3? So that way, where do I want my cue ball to be when I get to the 3 in order to easily transition to the 4 ball? Because then from the 4 to the 5 to the 6, those and to the 7, those are all relatively easy. Then we have a hard transition to get to the 8. And so what that ends up doing also, from the 7 to the 8, I have to make sure that I play the 6 ball in a very specific way to get a nice angle on the 7 in order to be able to move to the 8. If I don't do any of these things, then there's probably going to be no way for me to run the rack. Or let me say, it's going to make running the rack really difficult. So this is the part of 9 ball where this type of planning starts to become very important, because what you end up doing is you end up complicating a relatively easy shot. I'm actually surprised I drew that fairly accurately without remembering. So even though I can make this 2 ball and I can make the cue ball end up somewhere over here, that's the easy part. The hard part is going to be moving my cue ball in such a way to where I can get on the 3 ball so that way I can move to the 4. And because I add a little bit of complexity to this 2 ball, I might end up messing up. But even though since the 2 ball is a hanger, then maybe we're okay. So this means here that the 3 ball must pass by the 9 ball. So now I definitely have to try to draw the cue ball back in order to get position on the 4. See, so now when we look at this, I've gotten through one key transition, and I think since we know now that the 3 ball passed by the 9, I don't think the 2 to the 3 becomes very much of a problem anymore. Because if I could have gotten nice and flat on that 3 ball, then I would just draw straight back. But now when we look at this 4, 5, 6, and 7, getting to each one of those balls, it doesn't look like it's really a problem, right? Hopefully we can agree on that. If I just roll the 4 ball in, the cue ball will hit the head rail, come back out towards the middle of the table to where I might have a straight in shot on the 5 ball, by which I can roll in and then try to get fairly flat on the 6 ball. And then if I didn't know any better, I could end up being flat on the 7. So therefore, if I'm flat on the 7, meaning straight in, then I can't really maneuver my cue ball in order to get to the 8 ball. And so because I know that now tells me, well, I don't want to land straight in on the 6 ball, because then I can't move my cue ball to get an angle on the 7 ball. So now when I play the 4 to the 5, that's going to be okay. But the 5 to the 6 is going to be done in such a way to where I can keep an angle so I can create an angle on the 7 ball that allows me to move to the 8 ball. And if I can, once I do that and I'm able to nail the transition from the 7 to the 8, then hopefully we can see that from the 8 to the 9, there's not really going to be that much of a problem. So I hope what I'm talking about there makes sense. Let's see how this plays out. So like I said, I just roll the 4 in to where I might be nice and flat on the 5 ball, to where I might just roll this in, but I want my cue ball to probably stop somewhere right around here. Okay, see, now that I've done that, now I can create another type of angle, or actually a similar type of angle, to where I can shoot the 6 in, the cue ball will hit the rail and bounce up to somewhere right around here, and I can have a similar angle on the 8 ball. Oh, I'm sorry, on the 7 ball, so that way I can move to the 8 ball. That hesitation right there was because I was contemplating 2 different routes on getting to the 8 ball. I ended up settling in on that route. The other route, which might have been a little bit harder, would have been something like this, where I hit it in and try to get the cue ball to do something like this. I think that this transition was a little bit harder than the one that I did with the inside spin, but that was what the hesitation was for. Was contemplating between which of these 2 transitions should I have done. And then, of course, you can see the risk of possibly scratching. But now, at least here, I think I can just stun out more towards the middle of the table and shoot the 9 ball in the same pocket with the angle that I have. Yeah. And I maintain a pretty good lead here, 52 to 27, which means I need 23 more points while my opponent needs 28. So it's still relatively a close game. I'm only ahead by what, 5 points actually? Oh, now we've gone to a flat break. I went from the box to the rail to now a flat break. Hey, and I made a ball. Looks like I made the 6 ball. Let's see here. This looks like the 1 ball would go to this corner pocket. The 8 ball might help break my cue ball. Yeah, kind of like this. I think here I can just safely roll the 2 ball in. Cue ball will hit the rail and come back out for position on the 3. Check to see real quick if the 4 ball passes by the 9 ball. I got a little bit of high ball on this one. What am I doing? Oh, so I do push to the rail so that way I create this angle here to use the short rail and then try to come up for position on the 5. Did I get it? Maybe just barely. Probably just a little bit harder would have made the shot just a little bit easier. Christopher Morgan says you heard about them JFlowers through me, and you glad that you tried them. What cue did you end up getting? Oh, and look at that. I end up overcutting the 5 ball. Okay, my opponent slightly draws back on the 5 ball. Probably would have liked to draw on it a little bit more. So that way the cut on the 7 ball here isn't as thin as it is. As she overcuts the 7 ball. Hey, Roland, thank you so much for stopping by. You have yourself a good night. So I was able to transition from the 7 to the 8. And it looks like from the 8 to the 9, I'm going to have to do a very similar move. Because I shot the 7 ball, looks like with some bottom left. Oh, you see there I'm actually contemplating, what do I want to just roll the ball in, knowing that my cue ball is going to be somewhere right here and take this 9 ball shot. Is that what I end up doing anyway? Or do I go ahead and try to move the cue ball? No, see, I tried to move the cue ball, and actually it looks like I tried to go 2 rails around or zigzag position, but I didn't get it. Oh, I have a visitor. Oh, come here. Ah, I have a visitor, everybody. We got a guest commentator. Hi. Let's see here. I think at this point I have no choice but to try to bank that 9 ball. And I bank it short. With not enough speed to get lucky on a double bank, but enough speed to get lucky to leave a bank for my opponent. But we've already seen how well my opponent can bank. Let's see if she can bank this 9 ball in. Oh, and she banks short as well. Does she get lucky on double bank? Not quite. And I'm able to take that one down as well. I think my viewers can hear you. What is your problem? Come here. Goodness gracious. There's a nice pop break that I was able to do, but I mean, it still ended up breaking dry. So it's kind of like, I don't even think I'm 50-50 for the night as far as making a ball on the break. And I've tried 3 different types of break styles. Oh, what a good shot on the 1 ball. Got a little unfortunate that the 2 ball rolled on the template rack there. She does make a successful kick, though. Does look like the 2-ball passes by the 7. It looks like I might try to draw into the 3. Didn't really get the result that I was looking for. Would less power on the break help? I'm not entirely sure. Because I don't think I ended up trying to do. I mean, not a soft break, but I certainly didn't try breaking softer. Mainly because of my opponent. You see how well she can shoot. I was at least able to make that one. Plus, I've gotten to a point now to where I'm just not a fan of soft breaking anymore. And when I say soft breaking, I'm not referring to like Corey Duel style soft breaking. I'm talking about harder than that, but softer than what you see me breaking with now. Nice inside 2 railer there, but I would have liked to have the cue ball come out a little bit more, because now my cut angle here is causing my cue ball to do this, come towards the 8. And I just got to be very careful with how hard I hit this ball. Unless I purposely do that, but then I get an unlucky leave. Karams, combos, and banks, right? but no luck on the leave. Negative from YouTube is asking me what type of tip do I use on my SMO shaft. I currently have the Taom Fusion on my SMO shaft. You know, it's not very often that I would ever play a safety like that. Most of the time, I would end up trying to actually separate the two. Uh-oh, that's not good. Okay, ball in hand on the 9-ball. I'm able to take that one down. Crap. I messed up on the score somewhere. $17, $18, $19, $20, or whatever. We'll just leave it at that. You would think after me doing this long enough, I'd be better at keeping score. But since I'm also doing a lot of live commentary, I still get lost at keeping score on the game. Hey, it looks like I made a ball. 1, 2. Looks like I made the 3-ball. Two ball is down here. I think the 6-ball is in my way, so you can see it looks like I'm going to try to draw the cue ball back. Still ended up hitting the 6-ball. But here I would tend to think there's got to be a safety. What? I don't even think I got the safety. Yeah, my opponent was able to see the 2-ball just fine. But at least when I moved the 4-ball, that at least helped in the long run. Is this going to be even makeable for me? I don't think so. I remember this. Watch this, everybody. This is funny and cool at the same time. You can see I have a boatload of topspin on the ball. Watch what happens here. What do y'all think of that? I think this is referred to as the banana shot, where normally what you end up having is you have a ball here and you have a ball here, and you take the cue ball and you hit it so hard that it hits the rail and comes out like this and then bends back forward to make this ball. Right? That's pretty much what happened here, except this is on a double. I think this is a double kiss. So the cue ball hits the 4-ball, the 4-ball compresses into the rail and springs back and hits the cue ball to go back. But I've got so much topspin on the cue ball that as the 4-ball pushed the cue ball back, the topspin fights back and curls its way back around the 8-ball, and I end up scratching. That is ridiculous. BXT, you're asking about the 11 dead balls. In this version of 9-ball that we're playing in the APA League, the amateur pool, American Pool Player Association, or is it amateur? I can't remember. 9-ball is point oriented. Every ball is worth a point, and the 9-ball is worth 2 points. So every rack is worth 10 points. But sometimes what can happen is you can make a ball and foul, like make a ball and scratch. And so when that happens, nobody gets the point. So therefore, that's what a dead ball is. So, or you might combo the 9-ball in early, and there'll be balls left on the table. And when that happens, all those balls that are left on the tables, those are also dead balls. Those are points that nobody gets. So what's supposed to happen is that when a rack is over, between my score, the opponent's score, and the number of dead balls, those 3 scores should add up to some increment of 10 to know that you're actually keeping score correctly. A good run out by my opponent. But see, me, I'm notorious for keeping score badly. So if you look, you can see that currently the 3 scores added up don't add up to some increment of 10. So I don't know who I forgot to give a point to. So typically I like to just go ahead and give the point to my opponent. Oh, 9-ball almost went on the break there. Hey, the 2-ball's gone. So she was able to make a ball on the break. I would imagine the 3-ball's going to go into the side pocket unless she hit it just a tad bit too hard and the 9-ball blocks her. And it looks like she did. Oh, she got robbed there. I think that ball should have went in. So I think here I have no choice but to roll this ball in because I don't want to risk scratching. I should be able to roll past the side pocket and not scratch, just like this. But I end up overcutting the 3 ball, so never mind. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Ooh, I think she was trying to kill the angle with the way she hit that ball and probably wanted to come back up instead of being somewhere over here. Because she looked like she hit that with inside spin. And she was able to make the ball and at least get positioned to where she can make the 4 ball. Now the 5 ball is going to be a little tricky from here. Let alone getting some type of position on the 6. Never mind, what the heck am I talking about? Golly, what a good shot. Another good shot. Does this force her to play a 7-9 combination? Oh, okay. Well, I guess that worked out. Oh, geez, what a shot. Ooh, that's a little close for comfort. Are we going to have a double hit foul? Nope, she looks like she hit that okay, but just was unable to make the ball. And then I'm unable to make the ball. Oh, gosh. Actually, I think it's been a while since I've made any points once I got here. Because all I need is 6 more points to win the game. All right, she takes that one down. So I don't honestly know if the game is this close since I've already messed up the score a couple of times and I just keep awarding the points in difference to my opponent. And it looks like we got a dry break. Now here, it doesn't look like I can cut that 1 ball into the side pocket. I do wonder if I'm going to cut it all the way down, but getting position on the 2 ball seems to be a little difficult. So I'm wondering if I'm going to play a safety here. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't think I got the safe though. I think she might be able to see the ball. I just don't know if she can make the ball or if it's makeable. But like before, the cue ball's on the rail. She can only access the top portion of the cue ball, and she ends up overcutting the ball. Now I might be in a position where I can win here. One. Get a little lucky with short side position on the 2 ball. That'll allow me to play the 3 into the same pocket. Probably just end up drawing it to the rail and back out. kind of like that, to... Oh, never mind. That was the end of the match. So that means I get this point, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have to take 4 away from her. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 left on the table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that right? Yes. So I think this was the actual final score, 75-46 with 19 dead balls. I'm pretty sure I probably even got the innings wrong, and it's actually more innings than 25. I'm not exactly sure. So when it comes to commentating 9-ball, I just don't think I can be as interactive as I can be with 8-ball, because 8-ball has a lot more strategy to it. Whereas in 9-ball, I mean, yes, there's strategy in 9-ball as well, but it's pretty plain and clear that you're going to be going from the 1 to the 2 to the 3 to the 4. And then you have to know, like, well, because of the layout of the table, it doesn't look very runnable. So when you get to this point, you have no choice but to play a safety. So instead of playing position for a shot, you're playing position for a safety. The only thing that I really like to always touch on when it comes to playing 9-ball is the key transition topic that I finally got to talk about during one of those racks, to where when you have an open table, a lot of the times there is going to be that transition to where if you can create your pattern and move your cue ball in such a way to where you can get on the ball that gets you to that key transition and hit that transition, then more than likely you should be able to run the rack, because the rest of the balls are just going to be in a nice pecking order for you to just like push the cue ball around or gently roll the cue ball around. Because more times than not, you don't really want to have to forcibly move your cue ball around in all different types of way. You know, even though if you have to do that and you're able to do it, that's all great and wonderful. But what you end up finding yourself being in is that you're playing one hard shot after another. And at some point in time, you might be bound to miss. Whereas if you can find this balance to where you take what is an easy shot and just allow the cue ball to do what it naturally wants to do, but that might end up leaving your next shot to be more difficult. So in order to make your next shot a little bit easier, you have to add some complexity to your current shot, which means you do increase the chances of you missing the current shot. But if you end up making it and you've now made your next shot a little bit easier, and you keep applying that logic to each and every shot, then hopefully what happens is over the course of the run out, all the shots end up balancing themselves out to where the run out really isn't as hard as it could have been. So when you're playing 9-ball, just keep stuff like that in mind, to where you got to make sure that you're just checking to see that your cue ball lands in these really good angles to where you can almost just shoot the ball in with very little side spin and naturally get a good cue ball position on the next shot that allows you to easily transition to the next ball. Okay, hey. Oh. Not on stream. Holy cow, cat. Okay, well, we got to enjoy the cat cleaning himself right there on the middle of the stream. That was hilarious. So that's pretty much going to end things for the night. I want to thank everybody for being here with me so late, as it is now 12:25 a.m. in the morning here in Texas. And 5 hours later, I'm going to be having my surgery on my ankle. And then I have to go through a 3-month healing process. Now, it's not going to take me 3 months before I come back live and produce some more content. But I certainly can't guarantee that I'll be able to do anything next weekend. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'll be sure to keep all of y'all apprised on how I'm doing and stuff. And we'll just see how the next 3 months are going to go for me. And hopefully everything goes good, because then when I'm all healed up, I'm going to have my table here in my house. And then I really can start producing some content for everybody and get back to doing my road to 100 in straight pool, which is what I'm really looking forward to. So if you haven't done so already, please give this stream a thumbs up, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're watching me on Facebook, consider sharing the stream to your Facebook profile so that way your friends and family can get to know me and gain an interest in playing pool. And then maybe, of course, share the stream to your favorite pool groups as well. Liking the stream on YouTube just helps me out in the YouTube algorithm, so that way more people can discover the stream after the fact, now that I'm getting ready to close the stream down. So I hope everybody was able to enjoy watching me play 8-ball and 9-ball, which I think, in my opinion, I didn't play the greatest. I had some struggling patterns and some struggling outs, but we'll have to see if any of the other videos that I have up and coming to where I shoot a little bit better. But until next time, take care, everybody, and I hope to see you soon.